This video is going to go over the area of trapezoids and just do some extra practice. So you're not going to find this assignment in ed, but if you are still struggling finding the area of trapezoids or working backwards, then be sure to follow along with this video. So here are the steps we're taking, and here is our formula. So if you remember, we add base A and base B, or it might be called base 1 and base 2, so A and B. So together, those give us the entire parallelogram. So it's taking another one of these and putting it over here kind of this way. So we need to know this whole parallelogram, and this side is 7. So we start and we add A and B. So let's plug in what we know. So base A is 13, base B is 7, and it won't matter which one you put as A and B. So we can use the commutative property to add those in either order. And then our height, we're going to multiply. So find our right angle is 4. So we're multiplying that by 4 and then dividing by 2. So here's what we want to use. So 13 plus 7 is 20. We're going to multiply by 4, divide by 2. So 4 times 2 is 8 with a 0. And then that gives us the entire parallelogram. So we need to cut it back in half to just give us the trapezoid. So 80 cut in half is 40 inches squared. So our final answer, 40 inches squared. So it's important that we get the label and the square on there because we are still finding how many squares fit inside this trapezoid. Okay, so let's try number 2 here. So I want you to plug in the information that we know. So plug in A and B and H, and then come back and check. So one of the bases is 6. The other base is 8. And then we want to do that first. So we need those parentheses around it. My height from the right angle is 5, and then we'll have to cut it in half. So go ahead and add, then multiply, then divide, and then come back and let's check our work. So 6 plus 8 is 14. Then we'll times by 5, divide by 2. So my next step is 14 times 5. So there's 20, 5, 6, 7. So now I have 70 divided by 2. So 70 cut in half. That goes in there 3 times is 6 and goes in there 5 times. So the answer is 35. We're using centimeters squared, 35 centimeters squared. Okay, so let's use our information we have here, A plus B times the height divided by 2 to plug in what we know. So go ahead and do that. So one base is 5, the other base is 7. So remember, the bases always come from the parallel side. So this side and this side are parallel to each other. The others are going to intersect. The height from the right angle is 3, and then we'll divide by 2. So go ahead and solve that problem. We want to add our bases, multiply by the height, then cut it back in half. So go ahead and do that. So 5 plus 7 is 12, and then we'll multiply that by 3 divided by 2. So 3 times 12 is 36. 36 divided by 2. That goes in there 1 time, and that goes in there 8 times. So my answer is 18 meters squared. Hey, Priscilla made a poster in the shape of a trapezoid and folded the slanted side into 2 right triangles. The height of the triangles is 16 inches. So she made a trapezoid, a poster in the shape of a trapezoid, and folded the slanted side into 2 right triangles. Okay. So we've got triangles, and so it looks like we can fold right here, right? Fold this slanted side in. So the height of our triangles is 16. So both of, well, that's not a triangle, but that's okay. The bases of the trapezoid are 24 and 12. So I think this is our most important information here. So the height of the triangles is 12 inches. The trapezoid bases are 12 and 24. What is our area? So drawing this out just to visualize what it looks like, wherever all the dimensions are, can be very helpful. So our formula, we want to add our bases, a plus b, times by the height, and then divide by 2. So plug everything in. So go ahead and do that. So here we have base. The top base is 12. The bottom base is 24. The height is 16. And then that we'll have to cut it in half because when we're adding 12 and 24, we're actually finding this entire parallelogram. We need to cut it back in half to just have our trapezoid. So 12 plus 24 is 36. 36 times 16 divided by 2 is what we have left. So go ahead and do 36 times 16 and then come back when you are ready to check. So 6 times 6 is 36. There's 18, 19, 20, 21, and then a placeholder, and then we've got a 6 and a 3. So adding these up comes to 576. Now we have to cut it back in half. So 576. So go ahead and do 576 divided by 2, and then come back when you're ready to check that. So this goes in there 2 times, and we're left with 1. Bring down our 7, goes in there 8 times, is 16. Left over 1 and 8. So our trapezoid area of her poster should be 288 inches squared. Hey, Carlos made a design for a kite in the shape of a trapezoid. The parallel sides, so that means our bases, are 6 and 36. So we've got one that's 6, one that's 36. And the height is 34. So no matter where the top is, we'll connect those sides. How much fabric will it take to make 2 kites using this design? So let's plug in our formula. So we know we need to add our bases first, then times by the height, cut it in half will give us one of these trapezoids. So plug in the information that we know. One base is 6, the other base is 36, and our height is 36, and then we'll cut it in half. So go ahead and add and multiply, and then come back when you have done that. So 36 plus 6 is 42, and we'll multiply that by the height of 36. So 42 times 36. So if you have not done that, go ahead and pause and do that. So 6 times 2 is 12. 24, 25. Placeholder. There is 6 and 12. So add these up. 2, 11, 2, 4, 5, and 1. So when we're making these, we're actually right now at 1,512. We've made this shape here. And it wants us to answer 2 of the kites. So we actually don't need to cut this one in half because all we would have to do is turn around and multiply it back by 2 because it wants 2 of these kites. So when we divide this by 2, it will give us something around 700. So this is about 700, maybe 750. And this one is about 700. And we would just have to put them back together to get back to our total. So since we want 2 of them, we don't need to divide. So our answer here, oh, did I do some math wrong here? Is very likely. Or maybe I have the answer wrong. Let's see. Let's just double check ourselves. I could have this answer wrong. So 36 plus 6 is 42. We're timesing. Oh, the height. Look. Oh, I multiplied by the wrong height. Maybe some of you noticed that and we're like, Mrs. Richards, what are you doing? So this is why we always go back and check our work. So this is really 34. So let me do 34 times 42. That's my problem here. So this is 34. So here is 8. Oh, already looking better there. Should end in an 8. And 6 placeholder. 4 times 4 is 16. 12 plus 1 is 13. Add these together. We've got 8, 12, 4, and 1. There we go. So 1,428. Very sorry about that. Hey, here we have, this one gives us our total area. So we are going to be working backwards. So let's plug in the information that we do know. So we can see A is 6 and B, we don't know B, so we'll just keep it B. So we're still going to group those together. And here we have the height is 5 from the right angle, and we're going to cut it in half still. And our total area is 40. So we're going to be working backwards now. So here's our steps. We would normally add the bases, multiply the height, then divide by 2. We need to do everything opposite and backwards to get B all by itself. So the first thing we need to do is the opposite of divide by 2, which is multiply by 2 on both sides. So I'm going to rewrite my problem down here. So 40 times 2 is 80, and that equals 6 plus B. Woo, that was a crazy B, times 5, and then the 2's canceled out because this is really a half times 2 ends up being 1, so that is canceled out. So next, we would multiply by the height, which is 5. The opposite of timesing by 5 is to divide by 5 on both sides. So this cancels out. So we're going to do 80 divided by 5. So go ahead and do 80 divided by 5. That goes in there just one time. I got a little carried away there. Is 5, and then 3 left over. 5 goes into 36 times. So now this is 16 equals 6 plus B. Whoops, that's not a B. B, there we go. So how can I get B all by itself? Well, the opposite of adding 6 is to take away 6. So these cancel out. 6 over here. So 10 equals B. So let's see if we're right here. Got that? Another way, if it doesn't just give you an answer, is to plug it in and check. So I would do 6 plus 10 is 16, times by 5 is 80, cut it in half is 40. So always go back and plug it in and see, does this make sense? Okay, let's try one more of those working backwards problems. So go ahead and plug in the information that we know. So I am going to actually move this up out of my way so I have a little more room to write. So we know our area is 42. And then A, we don't know A, so we're going to just leave that as A. Plus B is 8. The height from our right angle is 6. And then we still have to divide by 2. So let's work backwards. So the opposite of divide by 2 is to multiply by 2 on both sides. So 2 times 2 is 4 and 8. So 84 equals A plus 8 times by 6, and our 2's canceled out. So now we need to do the opposite of times by 6, which is to divide by 6 on both sides. So this cancels out. So go ahead and do 84 divided by 6. It goes in there one time and 2, and bring down my 4. My lights are turning off here. And 6 goes into 24 4 times. So we're left with 14 equals A plus 8. So we need to get rid of this plus 8 to get a by itself. So the opposite of adding 8 is to subtract 8 from both sides. So this cancels out. So 14 minus 8 is 6 equals a. So let's plug it back in and check our work here. So 6 plus 8 is 14. 14 times the height of 6 is 84. And 84 divided by 2 is 42. And a equals 6. So when it wants you to work backwards, just do all of your steps backwards and opposite. So hopefully some of those extra problems will help you be ready for your homework tomorrow. So if you're still confused, that's okay. This is new. We just started this today. So try your homework tomorrow. And if you're stuck, let me know and we can set up a time to meet together.